Today we will quickly review changes to Virginia's sentencing guidelines. We'll discuss 8 significant changes effective for anyone sentenced July 1st, 2020 and after. The first change is a legislative change to the larceny threshold, an increase from $500 to $1,000. The impact on the sentencing guidelines is when you're scoring prior record. When scoring prior record, you must score it based on Virginia's current penalty structure. So if you're unsure if the prior felony offense involved $1,000 more in property loss or damage, then you must score it as a misdemeanor. The second change deals with marijuana laws. Beginning July 1st, possession of marijuana will be a civil offense. Civil offenses are not scored in guidelines, so any prior conviction for first or subsequent possession of marijuana would not be scored on the sentencing guidelines. You'll also note that for felony distribution of marijuana, the quantity has changed from over 1/2 ounce to more than 1 ounce. So the same logic applies as we applied to the larceny, that if you're unsure if the quantity of marijuana sold is more than 1 ounce, then you must score it as a misdemeanor. The third change deals with the burglary worksheets, both burglary dwelling and burglary other. You'll see that the Section B recommendation table has been simplified. The recommendation will either be probation no incarceration or incarceration 1 day up to 6 months. If you look at the Section B worksheets for burglary dwelling, you'll see increases in scores for the primary offense and 2 new factors, additional offenses, and based on a study completed by the Commission, firearm removed from property during the current burglary. Burglary other, there's an increase in the score if your primary offense is scored under letter A, and the new factor, additional offenses, would also be scored. The fourth change deals with the kidnapping worksheet. These 3 new factors are only scored if your primary offense is abduction by force without legal justification or assisting or threatening to abduct. If either are your primary offense, then you score these new factors. The additional offense. Is your additional offense a violation of protective order, a sex offense, or a family offense? Was there a mandatory minimum in the current sentencing event? And then you would also score victim entries. The same factors are on Section C also, and again are only scored if your primary offense is abduction by force without legal justification or assisting or threatening to abduct. The fifth change deals with manufacturing methamphetamines or manufacturing Schedule 1 or 2 drugs. Beginning July 1st, when you go to Section C of the Drug Schedule 1 or 2 worksheet, you'll see that manufacturing Schedule 1 or 2 drugs or manufacturing meth, whether prosecuted under 18.2.248C or 18.2.248C1, will pick up the exact same number of points. Change number 6 deals with the elimination of the drug exception rule. The bottom line is, with the elimination of the drug exception rule, if you have a different Virginia crime code from your primary offense, then it must be scored as an additional offense. And that's what the drug exception rule elimination does. It makes this rule apply across all worksheets. So again, if you have different VCCs, one would be your primary and the others would be scored as additional offenses. The 7th change deals with CCAP. CCAP, the Community Corrections Alternative Program, is a fairly new program. And beginning July 1st, only the sentencing revocation report will be completed if a defendant is removed from CCAP for behavioral issues, for calls, for medical or administrative. There will be no guidelines recommendation. We need time to actually analyze the data to see how judges are sentencing in cases when there was a violation of CCAP. So July 1st, complete just the sentencing revocation report and not the probation violation guideline. Change number 8 deals with the cover sheet. Now the cover sheet, if you use SWIFT, and again SWIFT is the required method for completing guidelines, it will generate a new page called Offense Details. It will list not only the primary offense and docket numbers, but any additional offense. The only offense that shows up on the cover sheet is for the primary offense, but all other offenses will be listed on the offense details. And again, if you use Swift, it'll generate these 2 pages for you. It's only if you do it by hand will you have to enter each of the docket numbers. So let's briefly look at some of the new laws that will go into effect July 1st. Now, this law went into effect a little earlier. There was an emergency clause. It expands parole eligibility to those individuals who are currently incarcerated and who were sentenced by a jury prior to the Supreme Court of Virginia's decision in Fishback versus the Commonwealth. So that's June 9, 2000. So it's a very narrow group of individuals that are now eligible for parole. Also eligible for parole are juveniles. Juveniles who commit felony offenses who receive a sentence of 20 years, basically up to life. They may be parole eligible after serving at least 20 years of that sentence. Other changes include changes to the hate crimes. Hate crimes have been expanded, but the mandatory minimums have been removed from any conviction under the hate crime statute. There's new laws related to firearms. You'll note that when you receive your Virginia Crime Code book, your VCC book, you'll have some weapons offenses that have been delayed for a year. They're still in your VCC code book, but you'll see that they don't go into effect until 2021. Just remember, SWIFT is the required method of completing guidelines. If you need a SWIFT account, send us an email at swift@vcse.virginia.gov. They are free, they are private, and they will generate the forms for you. Enter the docket numbers in those jurisdictions where the courts have allowed us access to the court data. You can also visit our mobile site by texting the letters VCSE to 56512. It's the electronic version of the guidelines manual, can be found there. You can also search for Virginia crime codes. If you have any other questions, feel free to contact the Commission at our hotline at 804-225-4398. You can send us a text at 804-393-9588, or send us an email. If you go to our main web page, our email addresses are there, and we do respond to your emails after hours. Again, thank you, and give us a call if you have any questions.